Sorry, guys. My nose is just really messing with me today. I don't know if it's allergies or just if I'm catching a cold or something, but I refuse to accept that I'm catching a cold or getting sick or anything. That ain't gonna happen. But we're gonna get into the myth of power. This is gonna be a trip. Um, yeah, let's go ahead and just dive into it. It's gonna be awesome. I don't know if I should just combine these two with nah. I'll just leave them separate with the myth of truth. But let's go with the myth of power. When you look at the world today, you see examples of groups and nations using force to invade and attack other groups and nations. It may be to take natural resources like land or oil, to destroy a culture or belief system, or simply because DNA has given one group a different physical appearance. All those reasons are terrible reasons. At the heart of the great myth of power is a deep-seated sense of separation and a resulting confusion about power with and power over. Power over. When the world talks of a powerful man or a powerful woman, what exactly is the power? If you define the world using only the five physical senses, then power is defined by what you can see, touch, feel, and hear. So you see power as dominance or power over others, power over the environment, and even power over self. And because of the way societies define power and focus it in a few individuals, societies must set up organizations to prevent its misuse. So you have watchdogs who scrutinize the power holders. When a society or group defines power in terms of the ability to direct the use of resources such as money, human lives, armies, weapons, food, and raw materials, the greatest fear is the loss of that power to someone else or some other group. That's the truest thing in the world. Whenever somebody gets power, they'll do anything to keep it. That is the utmost truth in this world. And power over others reinforces and deepens separation because you can't exercise power over others without making them other, be it based on religion, ideology, skin color, or gender. So you can't exercise power over others without first declaring that they are separate from you. We're all one in unity. We're all one in the source. Just because our buckets aren't flipping melded together inside the source, and because we do see ourselves as separate but yet a part of the whole, so we got to stop looking at that separate part so much and start looking at the whole, that all the water flows through all of us. All the water is exchanged through the buckets and still goes back into the source. We're all still a part of the source. We need to quit focusing on that separation and start focusing on the unity of it all. And that's where we're at in this world today. We are at the changing of the consciousness from separate consciousness to unity consciousness. A great friend of mine, she just sent me the most beautiful thing about twin flames and conscious separation and the new unity consciousness that is coming about. And I so appreciate that. You know who you are. When personality looks outside of itself for power, it turns to material things and other personalities. What? What, little buddy? My dog's trying to say hi through all this. He just comes up and sticks his head and lays it down on my lap, just like, hey, what are you doing? This leads to a pecking order of more powerful than me and less powerful than me. There is an alternative to this false kind of power. However, as we'll see, turning to spirit reveals a power based on creativity, loving cooperation, reverence, harmony, and heroic collaboration. Power with. The alternative power is based on power with spirit, and with your fellow humans. And ironically, the first step to power with is surrender. But surrender to spirit sounds like acquiescing to something that has power over you. And isn't that just the same old story, but with a different overlord? Power over requires the submission of one to another, in which both feel separate. Power over works only when this sense of separation exists. See? To the extent that you feel separated from spirit, surrender will feel like submitting to a superior force, like a besieged city finally opening its doors to looting and rape by a conquering army. If, on the other hand, you sense a seamless unity with spirit, surrender simply means enlarging a small, fear-based agenda to the much vaster agenda of planetary and personal ascension, replacing "I've got to do it all by myself" individualism by alignment with the unimaginably powerful forces at work on planet Earth today. The problem with power based on who you are as a personality, separate from spirit, is that you can lose it. Other people can steal your resources, age can steal your strength, and illness can steal your health. But power based on what you are cannot be stolen. Keyword, what you are. Seeing yourself as a vast, multidimensional being having a human experience rather than a human having a spiritual experience puts you in touch with your true power and its unlimited creativity and potential. I hope everybody rewinds that and listens to that one more time. That is critical. Ironically, the single most powerful thing that any of you have ever done was to become human, and that didn't actually require you to do anything. You grew your body in the womb. At birth or just before, you embodied a part of your identity in that tiny form, and then drew the veil in order to forget what you'd done. That is one of the most powerful acts done anywhere in any universe, because you said, "I am strong enough and vast enough to carry out this lifetime. I can blindfold myself to my own vast being and succeed among billions of others who have done the same thing. We might fight and bicker, but we'll put it off and come to remember." So I beg you all, put it off and come to remember. You are so much greater than this, and we have so much potential for this world, for this earth. So you forget your true power along with your true identity, all to make the game more realistic. When you are unaware of your true power, you have to scramble to grab what you can before anyone else. Every unkind or harmful act committed on this planet has been done by someone who felt powerless in some way. And the stronger the feeling of powerlessness, the greater the unkindness or harm in the act. So true. You can only exercise power over others if you have a picture of reality that says that they are separate from you. You can change your pictures of reality around separation, but what makes coming to true power more difficult is the fact that you carefully built a cornerstone of separation into the human race at the cellular level. Very few people actually feel true unity at a deep physical level. In fact, most people feel something quite different, shame. And that's held at the cellular level. Let's go ahead and get into shame. Why not? It's a pretty short section. Personality initially served as the eyes and ears for spirit on this planet. But eons ago, when you decided to experience a game of separation, personality assumed an identity separate from spirit, and you formed an outer ego to take on the role of spirit in determining what's real and what to do about it. To keep outer ego unaware of the fact of separation from spirit, the so-called fall of man. It's a key point in this as well. You laid a very particular energy into the species' genetic structure. This vibration feels slightly different to each person. Some feel like fallen angels. Others feel as though it's only a matter of time before they're caught for some nameless offense. And others feel somehow dirty and soiled, and folks will go to great lengths to avoid these feelings of unworthiness. Try looking at some of the events of your life from this perspective. See what I am? Or see what I mean? Sorry. Oh man, see what I mean? Compensating for the shame shows up in many different ways. In elitism or competition, for example. When you feel separate from each other and don't even know for sure that there is something called spirit, it's inevitable that outer ego will seek safety in trying to get higher up the ladder than other people. The reason that TV news focuses on death, doom, and disaster is to allow people to feel that someone, somewhere, is having a worse time than they are, and that they are temporarily a little more safe because it didn't happen to them today. It's so horrible. I quit watching the news years ago. I hate the flippin' news. It's a damn horror flick stuck on replay. Excuse me. Feeling cut off from spirit, the personality views life almost as a punishment rather than as a gift and an opportunity for expression, which gives new meaning to the term life sentence. The important thing about this shame is to know that you inherited it in your genes on planet Earth. It just comes with the territory. But shame is so deeply a part of having a physical body that it never gets examined for what it is, a condition of being incarnate. And every time anyone says something like, "You should be ashamed of yourself," the knife turns in the wound, because at a very deep level, you agree with it. That is so true. So true on so many levels. Oh, man. I don't ever listen to anybody tell me you should be ashamed. I ain't never going to walk around shameful of anything I've ever done. I think we all have regrets and stuff in life, but, you know, however big or small they are, it's just something that you were meant to learn. It was just something you set up with another higher entity to learn something on this earth before you head back home. Because in order for the Father, for Source, to give us the gift that He wants to give us, we have to go through this training, because we decided that we could be separate instead of just being a part of the whole. So, yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. I'm just going to keep going with this. Of course, you all set the game of separation up in this way. You couldn't just pretend to be separate from spirit. You had to make it realistic in order for the game to work. And you have found that shame works very well indeed. Shame lies at the center of every cell of your physical body. Normally at death, you can leave this shame behind in the cells, but in order to ascend with the body, the energy must be released from your cells. That I highlighted that. That's a very key point. I'm going to be working on this, and I hope everybody else will be also. Cellular release. Many light workers are blazing a trail for the rest of the population to do this. In extreme cases, they may find that they're suddenly forced into a position of powerlessness. This may cause a fast and massive release of shame from their cells into their fields where it can be cleared. Not everyone will opt to do this, and most folks will choose a gentler, longer release. Either way, it's good to know that when you feel shame of any kind, it's not you, but just another energy to be released from your fields. Try not to allow the shame to be a part of your identity or feel guilty for being you. As light workers, you are transmuting the species' inbuilt shame to a higher expression of unity with and the service to Spirit. Under the guidance of Spirit, the energy of shame is being released from your cells into your fields, and as it comes up, you get to feel it as a foreground experience, rather than as an underlying condition of being human. And the way to deal with this is to go through it. Avoiding it or suppressing it is telling yourself that it's true and that you're powerless to do anything about it. Simply look at shame as something inherited in the cells and from cultural imprinting, and not as your identity. I hope everybody replays that and listens to that one more time. There is so much being said right there. It is unfathomable not to get that. This is healing straight out of the book right here. If you can apply this to your life, you will heal yourself from so much bullshit that you've been carrying around. You could take that bag off your back and start unloading rocks. I love picking up rocks. I love to go rock hunting. But I realize that that is literally something I'm doing spiritually as well. And I've got to unload some of those damn rocks. I stopped collecting rocks. I love rocks, though. But I had to do it physically in order to experience it spiritually. So I just connected the two, and it just made it so much easier for me to grasp the concept. But now I collect rocks again, and you know, I don't spiritually collect rocks. Man, unload those damn things. As soon as you pick them up, enjoy it for what it is, and feel the pain with it. You know, the spiritual, you know, because all bullshit in life comes with a little bit of pain and shame and regret, but experience it, but then release it back to the universe. I have this energy. I'm thankful that I had this experience, but it's not my energy. I release it back to the universe. If you could go with that mantra and use it to your benefit, you are going to be so much better of a person. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel alive. Yeah, I love you guys. I really want to share what I've learned in life. I've learned this lesson long before I read this book, but it puts it in words that I can express, because I have a hard time expressing myself personally. I view the world in such a different way that people don't always grasp what I'm saying, and it totally gets screwed up in translation. But this book actually puts it in such words that are, you know, not so elegant, but they convey the message that I would love to convey. Let's go ahead and keep going. We're almost out of cellular release and into control in the section of power. As you're burning the released cellular shame out of your fields, you will be feeling it. Allow this to happen, knowing that it's not you, but something you came to this planet to deal with. If you feel alone and powerless, try to find a group of other lightworkers, some of whom will also be doing this process. Don't be afraid to accept their help. The days of the rugged individualist are over. We have moved into an era of co-creation. Co-creation. We are co-creators. Either we co-create with the source or we co-create with the enemy. Everybody should know that. So who you decide to co-create with is your choice. You are just expressing your divinity, but don't be manipulated into co-creating with the enemy. Always stand back, rise above it, and see the two wolves and which wolf you are feeding. We have moved into an era of co-creation, and it's important to let it happen. Lightworkers are on assignment on this planet, but until now, you may have just been working solo. But you're now being called online to work together with other lightworkers to co-create the next level in the evolution of the species. As old separation-based patterns are being pulled out of the species genetic heritage, you can't do this alone. Another way to support yourself when shame comes up is to sense your true power. Ask Spirit for ever-increasing capacity to do whatever it takes. And secondly, call on Destroyer Force angels to spin the energy out of your fields, and on Saint Germain to violet flame your fields. After a few seconds or minutes, you'll feel calmer and subtly more powerful. Let this new sense of power flow through your body and visualize it, filling the void in your cells left by the released shame. That is such a powerful statement. I literally cannot convey that any better. I hope everybody takes this segment and just rolls with it and totally absorbs this. This is so powerful, and it has so many applications in your life that can heal you, the true you. This body will come and go. but your spirit self is going to keep going. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. That is a physical principle. I guess let's go on to control. Another part of the myth of power is the illusion of control. Any control you think you have over your life belongs to spirit. When things work out, it's your spirit self working through your fields. And when things don't work out, it's still your spirit self working through your fields. But this time trying to get your personality's conscious attention or to bring something to personality's awareness. If things aren't going according to your plan, examine your pictures of reality, looking for signs of limitation and control. Trying to control and manipulate events according to personality's ideas of how things should be Trying to control and manipulate events according to personality's ideas of how things should be is a fruitless activity and may lead to disappointment, frustration, and anger. So what can you do? When you align with the intent of spirit as it goes about its functions, you become an unstoppable force because you are going with the flow of the universe. But this raises the old question, how do I know the intent of spirit? One answer is, whatever makes your heart sing. I hope everybody gets that. Whatever makes your heart just sing for joy. Go with it. Go with it. If it makes you feel the best you've ever felt in your life, then why not keep that feeling going? Does it bring you joy? Is it fun? Does it serve the light? If all three are true, then you're following spirit. If one or two are not true, then that course of action might not be aligned with spirit. If you ask these questions of your job, say, and get no to all three, then think seriously about changing jobs or even careers, because you're not tapping into your true power. Going against the flow is hard work, but going with the flow is relatively effortless and a lot more fun. Things fall together instead of apart, and people pop into your life to help rather than hinder. So control is an illusion. The flow of spirit is the reality. All that you are and all that you have is the result of your spirit self setting things up. What you can do at the personality level is be conscious of this and add your input on the reality factory shop floor. You will be heard. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here. I'm going to get into I'm going to get into true power right now. It's the last of the section. It's got 2 pages. Yep, 2 pages. True power. On the surface, shame and lack of control appear to have little to do with power, but they are linked because amassing control and power over others is a direct response to cellular level shame and an attempt to suppress it. You put the shame there to prevent you from sensing your true power. Therefore, true power is both the means of dealing with the shame and the end result of releasing it. True power is being state. True power is a being state, not a doing state. Doing power is the old way. Being power is expressing spirit. Now that doesn't mean sitting on a mat radiating energy for the rest of your life. You can still act. Only now you're coming from the still, quiet place within you that knows that it's a vast, unlimited force working in harmony with all that is. Just as the Tao that can be spoken is not the Tao. Power that must act is not true power. True power is strong and yet humble because it knows its strength. Strength means walking without fear, because to fear anything denies your ability to create your own reality. You walk in safety because there are no strangers, and because you are in harmony with nature and all her creatures. In true power, you love freely because you do not fear rejection or pain. You give of yourself because you know that rejection is a sign of the other's inability to receive what you are. You do not compete with others because competition implies shame and denies the mastery of both of you. And you know that ultimately you are competing with yourself. True power cooperates selflessly, knowing that it can be taken advantage of. It forgives unconditionally because you flow effortlessly through life, and because you acknowledge your role in co-creating every event in your life. You blame no one, not even yourself, because you are following Spirit in every moment. You do not judge anyone or anything because you know that judgment is based on shame. Instead, you look to Spirit for what is true in the moment. And from this perspective, you see everything as Spirit in expression. Working through Spirit in expression, working through personalities. You may not see the perfection of the expression of others, but you know that you are not their judge. So you just give them the room they need without becoming embroiled in their expression. If suffering comes into your life, you do not avoid it, but experience it and honor your creativity for having manifested it. Now, that's powerful to admit that to yourself, that, okay, I'm experiencing this crap because I wanted to for some reason. Let's learn the lesson and give the energy back. That's a great lesson right there. The greatest hallmark of the truly powerful person is the ability to share himself or herself with others, to let the love of Spirit flow unimpeded to others, as we've seen. Love is not something you do, but something you allow, and love only happens when you also allow your own power. I see many light workers hiding behind a false humility or modesty as they try to manipulate themselves into being nicely nice. Please do not talk yourself out of your power. Many think that the cost of belonging to the so-called New Age movement is the abandonment of all power, including true power. They couldn't be more wrong. From the first aggressive thrust into the physical plane at birth, you are here to serve the planet and her indigenous population. You can't do that whimpering in a corner. You are spirit in flesh, and you came here with a mission, so let your true power out and be who you really are. Any actions you care to take will then be based on your true power and in the being state of your vast magnificence. This doesn't mean no more Mr. Nice Guy, although it sometimes might. It doesn't mean that if you do act, it will be from love, compassion, and fearlessness, and you will do whatever feels right in the moment. It does mean that if you do act, I'm sorry, I might have misread that. I'm just going to read it one more time just because I think I might have misread that and said don't instead of do. So, sorry, bear with me. It does mean that if you do act, it will be from love, compassion, and fearlessness, and you will do whatever feels right in the moment. Sometimes you will act alone, and at other times you will co-create with other masters in their power. You are entering a time of glorious expression, and no part of you is unworthy of that expression. I salute you for undertaking this lifetime, and close this chapter by reminding you of just how powerful a being you really are, and that in concert with other lightworkers, you can co-create miracles. That is the end of section 6 and the end of part 1. We're going to get into part 2, Ascension, how to do it, will be the next segment. There was a lot of knowledge passed on through that one section. I hope everybody takes the time to review each and every one of those points that Serapis pointed out. I think they are very important to our time, into our very being. I am so grateful to share this with you guys. This is some amazing stuff. And if we can all apply this in our lives, we are going to be the better for it. The light worker aspect, it's time that we start co-creating with the source and with each other. We are the source. The source is inside us. It is time to co-create with source and with other light workers to create a better existence for our children and for our children's children and for the whole entire earth. Heaven is not going to come to earth out of the clouds. We're going to have to bring it here. So I hope everybody grasps the lessons that are being taught in this. I really do. The world is going to be a way better place if we can all get this. I love you all, and bless you guys, and peace be upon you.